So, without further ado, we start with our first topic. This is the Board of Peace. You know that Trump has stopped so many wars. That he wants to make the world a better place. Stop all these wars, and one of the most important things has been the Israel-Palestinian conflict. That Jared Kushner, by the way, has had let's say some ideas, has stopped altogether all that is happening, and that is one of the main points of this Board of Peace. I thought that this was just about the Middle East. By the way, I have a channel about the Middle East. That is like this color, the sand color, but it turns out that it's much more than that. Let's say that first step is taking care about Gaza and the Palestinian people. It originated as part of Trump's comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict following a ceasefire agreement, where the board was meant to oversee reconstruction, implementation of a 20-point peace plan, and long-term stability in Gaza. We have to remember that all this is just possible because, this is not just out of the kindness of Hamas' heart. This is out of, some people, let's say the good guys in this case, have the big guns and the drones and everything in between. And let's say that the peace that we're talking about is basically a very delicate balance between killing each other and blowing out to smithereens, which nobody wants. But that is peace through strength. And that is the only way it's going to work. That is the only way it's going to work in basically any case. Very quickly, the mandate expanded to a global scope. This is going to be global in terms of every single country should be interested in being at peace with its neighbors, in being at peace with, every other country. That is the idea, because I remind you that Donald Trump is first and foremost, you might say that he is a peacemaker, but this is basically he is a businessman, and to do business with the world, you need the world. You need the world to be in peace. You need all the commerce channels and everything being operative. You cannot have wars and any of the sort. And so much so that even Putin has agreed. Okay, I'm okay with this. Let's do this. I'm going to contribute $1 billion with a B to President Trump's Board of Peace and accepts Trump's offer to join. This is interesting. There's going to be a lot of criticism about this. Oh, Russia is bluffing. Putin is bluffing. But I think if he contributes $1 billion, that is not a bluff. That is an actual thing. So let's see what the Tsar has to say.
He could contribute $1 billion to the Board of Peace from the frozen assets assets frozen by the previous administration, and the remaining funds from the funds frozen in the United States could be used to rebuild territories that suffered during hostilities once we sign a peace deal between.
That is interesting. So Putin is in. That is fascinating. That is a great start. Trump serves as the permanent chairman, with a charter allowing him to hold the position indefinitely, potentially beyond his presidency. That is interesting as well. Several countries have joined or signed on, including reports of Saudi Arabia. By the way, it's interesting for my royal rogues. Prince William is going to do a visit to Saudi Arabia for the first time. That is going to be interesting. That's going to be very interesting. That is full serendipity in terms that I'm interested in the Middle East, and all of a sudden William wants to go to Saudi Arabia. That is, that there are no coincidences in life. That it says the universe that is, getting everything together. Turkey, Egypt, the UAE, Hungary, Pakistan, and others, more than 2,000 according to some sources. Many traditional U.S. allies, especially European nations, have declined or expressed concerns, with some viewing it as a potential rival or parallel structure to the United Nations. And we know, I made this joke a couple shows ago, but yeah, the United Nations is basically as useful as a man's nipple. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. They are there, and that's it. So I think this is a good idea. Maybe they disagree because you know how corrupt and what a joke is the United Nations have been a joke for what as long as I can remember, and that is not that long because I haven't been paying attention to the United Nations and for that long. But Jared Kushner, who was key to brokering the Gaza peace plan, unveils a master plan for the future of Gaza at Davos. And people are up in arms over this. They're screaming off the top of their lungs that how this is possible. Donald Trump's son-in-law presents a map and graphics to the audience and delves into how the U.S. will conduct this operation.
We've developed ways to redevelop Gaza. Gaza, as President Trump's been saying, has amazing potential, and this is for the people of Gaza, and we've developed it into zones. In the beginning, we were toying with the idea of saying, let's build a free zone, and then we have a Hamas zone. And then we said, you know what, let's just plan for catastrophic success. Hamas signed a deal to demilitarize. That is what we are going to enforce. People ask us what our plan B is. We do not have a plan B. We have a plan. We signed an agreement. We are all committed to making that agreement work. There's a master plan. We'll be doing it in phasing. In the Middle East, they build cities like this in 2-3 million people. They build this in 3 years. And so stuff like this is very doable if we make it happen.
So there's the plans, there's the wanting to do this stuff, and there's the willing, of course, if Hamas is demilitarized. And the most important thing, I would say that beyond being demilitarized is I don't know how to pronounce this word, is to be de-ideologized. You know what I mean? You know, the ideology of the death to America and all the stuff. I think that has to be dealt with at some point, and that is the most important thing, because it would be useless if you demilitarize if there's still that spirit, death to America and all that stuff that has gone nowhere. And so many countries in the Middle East don't want anything to do with the the Muslims who scream that to the top of their lungs. Maybe just a few Democrats and liberals still support that because they're crazy. They want to go always against the grain. Well, we continue here. Marco Rubio, today is the beginning of a new era.
Rothel will start with. This will show a lot of workforce housing. We think this could be done in 2-3 years. We've already started removing the rubble and doing some of the demolition. And then New Gaza. It could be a hope, it could be a destination, have a lot of industry, and really be a place that the people there can thrive, have great employment.
It was all so far so good up till now, but there comes the hit.
Once this starts going, we think there should be 100% full employment and opportunity for everybody there.
So this is crazy, right? But this is the kind of stuff that you see this, and of course it's extremely promising. Is something that is out of a dream, a utopia. It is absolutely doable, because we have seen when there's the will to build something really fast. It's like in the UAE, for example, is one of those examples. It can be done, but what I don't understand is why this triggers people so much. But I did not understand that for about 2 seconds, and then I remember, of course. I understand why people are so triggered and why people don't want this. And they don't want, the Free Palestine, Free Palpatine groups are not okay with this. They don't actually want this because that the part of their identity has been, okay, we need to fight this for the people of Gaza for some reason, and if there's no more fighting, they lose part of their identity. That's one part. And the countries of the European Union, that is not all of them, but the ones who are against an actual peace deal with the Gaza, or at least they cannot be against that anymore, but the rebuilding. And the Board of Peace, I understand that Spain's Pedro Sanchez already said that he does not approve the Board of Peace. All right, so there's that. That is something that helps them get away with the stuff that is happening in their countries. As in, we need to be worried about this that is happening in Palestine and Gaza. If that ends, if there's actual prosperity there, that is one less let's say, talk talking point that they will have to distract from the globalist invasion of their own countries. That's when I remember. It's a bit hard to keep track of all that, but it's that part of the strategy. It's a misdirection. Gaza, Palestine, they don't care. They don't care about Palestinian people. They have never cared about that. That is all a ruse. That is all smoke and mirrors. Simply pretending to care as distraction, as a sleight of hand to keep doing whatever they are doing. And yeah, there are a lot of useful idiots that are willing to go and protest without being paid, because they are paid protests, pro all that insanity, pro Hamas. But there are also useful idiots that do it for free. That there are all kind of retards in the world. And let's say that you win twice if you can convince those low IQ people to go and rally for a cause that has nothing to do with them. And what's more, do it for free. So I guess it's a win-win situation. But yeah, this triggered so many people as if they were angry. How dare Trump plan this? What are his ulterior motives?
And we have a lot of data on what can be, but we think that this really gives the Gazan people an opportunity to live their aspirations. But it all starts with security, and it all starts with governance.
Security and governance, very important, because, yeah, it's the same with Venezuela. You cannot have stability. You cannot have Maria Corina Machado as president. You cannot have actual elections if you don't have a modicum of security. It's the exact same scenario, and Trump is playing step by step, slow and steady, win the race, and we will be there. But I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. And this video you will be watching on my Power Pundit channel about politics and international politics. So let's make sure that you subscribe.